Okay, get this. Imagine a startup that at one point was valued at $47 billion. A company that investors were convinced was going to change the world. A company whose founder promised to, and I'm not kidding, elevate the world's consciousness. Now, what if I told you that its actual business model was just renting desks and throwing parties? Yep, this is the unbelievable story of WeWork. So yeah, back in 2019, this office sharing startup hit this insane valuation, $47 billion. To put that into perspective for you, that was more than giants like Ford or Delta Airlines were worth at the time. It's just a truly staggering figure. And look, this wasn't just some made-up number on a spreadsheet. No, there was a genuine belief among some of the smartest investors on the planet that this company was about to fundamentally change how we all live and work. The hype was absolutely enormous. And right at the center of it all was its founder, Adam Neumann, a guy with a vision so grand it sounded almost spiritual. He wasn't building a real estate company, he'd tell you. Oh no, he was on a mission to, and I quote, elevate the world's consciousness. So, okay, you've got this massive valuation. You have a world-changing mission, but when you actually peeled back all those layers of hype, a really simple question was just sitting there. What was this company actually doing? And the answer, honestly, was shockingly simple. At its very core, WeWork's business model was to sign long-term leases on office buildings, fix them up, and then rent out the space on short-term contracts. That, and throwing a lot of parties. So how in the world do you get from just renting desks to a $47 billion valuation? Well, it all starts with the vision and the incredible ability of one man to sell it. You see, Adam Neumann's genius was framing WeWork as something so much bigger than a real estate company. He wasn't selling office space. He was selling community. This wasn't a workplace. It wasn't even a company. It was a global movement, the We generation, and people absolutely bought into it. And that powerful vision didn't just attract freelancers looking for a desk. It attracted investors with incredibly deep pockets, who were all caught up in the tech boom frenzy of the 2010s. So let's get into how they went absolutely crazy for this whole idea. Investors just loved Neumann, especially one man, Masayoshi-san, the billionaire head of the Japanese investment giant SoftBank. This was the era of growth at all costs, right? Venture capitalists were hunting for the next visionary founder. So when Neumann pitched his vision of community, San didn't just see a good business. He saw the next Steve Jobs. He saw a revolutionary. So what happens when a billionaire investor thinks he's found the next Steve Jobs? He doesn't just invest. He turns on a fire hose of cash. SoftBank started pouring billions of dollars into WeWork, a torrent of money that fueled an explosive, almost completely reckless global expansion. With a seemingly endless supply of cash and a leader who is seen as the sort of messiah, the internal culture at WeWork started to get really, really weird. The culture became one of pure chaos. We're talking about things like mandatory tequila shots during meetings, lavish multi-day summer camp parties for thousands, and the CEO himself just frequently walking around barefoot. In one really infamous case, the company threw a massive party only to lay off a huge portion of its staff the very next day. This wasn't a corporation. It was starting to look a lot like a cult. But a party fueled by billions in investor cash can't last forever. Eventually, WeWork decided to go public, to sell its shares on the stock market. And this was the moment of truth. For the first time ever, the company had to open its books for everyone to see. And what investors found was horrifying. They saw a company with these bizarre corporate governance rules designed to give the founder absolute control. And in one of the strangest details, they discovered that Adam Neumann had personally trademarked the word "we" and then charged his own company millions of dollars to use it. But the biggest shock of all was the financials. Behind that grand vision was a financial black hole. This wasn't just a startup losing some money to grow. WeWork was burning through billions of dollars every single year. So once that curtain was pulled back, the collapse was swift and it was brutal. But the final chapter of this story holds one last, completely unbelievable twist. The speed of the collapse was just breathtaking. In the span of just a few weeks, that incredible $47 billion valuation completely evaporated, plummeting all the way down to under $8 billion. The IPO was canceled. The party was officially over. With the company in a complete freefall and investors in an absolute panic, the man at the center of it all, Adam Neumann, was forced to step down as CEO. So what happens to the founder who flies his company so close to the sun that its wings just melt off? You might assume he'd walk away with nothing, but you would be very, very wrong. In one of the most astonishing deals in corporate history, Adam Neumann was paid over $1 billion to walk away from the company he nearly destroyed. $1 billion golden parachute. In the end, WeWork didn't elevate the world's consciousness. It didn't start a revolution. But it did prove one thing loud and clear. Sometimes the most powerful business model of all is simply being incredibly good at convincing everyone that you have one.